You look pretty hungry to me. I've got the perfect mix of food for you. So compost, what is it? It's just decomposed leaf litter, grass clippings, anything that was alive what can decompose down. And compost is just our way of aiding that process, really, to make sure we get a real good mix of carbon and nitrogen materials. The compost, I mean, it improves the structure of the soil. So if you've got clay heavy soil, it improves the drainage. If you've got sandy soil, it helps the water retention in that soil, and it builds a better structure in that soil. I mean, the environmental benefits of compost as well. You don't want all the stuff going into landfill. When it's in landfill and it's anaerobic, it can create methane gas, which is a greenhouse gas, and very bad for the environment. So yeah, just try and compost as much as possible, really, and it's not as hard as you think, really, as long as you follow a few easy steps. And yeah, well, I'll get down to it. I'll show you what materials I've got, and we'll be starting off with the browns. So one of the good things you can use is wood chips, or even better, sieved wood chips, or wood chips that have been sat around for a year or two. Sieve those and pop them in. That's a really good source of carbon. So that's obviously a brown material. So all these carbon materials are brown materials. We've got some leaves here, which are collected in autumn. Got some newspaper in here, which is from a customer who's got a guinea pig, and they collect all their newspaper and straw and everything for me. It was all bagged up together, but I've separated it out. This is straw here from the guinea pigs. It's got bits of guinea pig poo and sawdust in there. That's a very high source of carbon. So what I've done with this as well, I've shredded it up a bit to increase the surface area. And that just helps the decomposition happen a bit quicker. You don't want bigger bits in there, really, unless you're going to be doing a slow compost. And I'll be talking about both types of compost. Now, these are just raspberry canes which I've snipped up into smaller chunks, like I say, to increase the surface area so the microbes and bacteria and fungi can break it down a bit quicker. So in here, this is compost from the bottom of the Dalek, and yeah, this is just going to add all the beneficial microorganisms and fungi and bacteria into the compost. It's going to activate it. If you've got sandy soil, one good thing to add to your compost is clay. And I've just got a little packet of natural powdered clay here, which is for wildflower seed bombs. But if you're digging out a post hole or anything, or you're digging holes and you come across some clay, you could always mix that clay in with your compost, and that will help the longevity of the compost, help it stick around, help it so it doesn't get blown away with erosion and water and stuff like that. So I'm not going to be adding this today because I don't need it. This is just one thing that you could add. So the next thing is I've got wood ash. This has got little bits of charcoal and stuff in it. You don't want to collect any coal or anything like that. It's got to be all natural wood, and that's a real good source of potash. Oh yeah, a couple of other browns here. We've got some biochar here, which is good to add to a compost pile. It's good for off-gassing and sucking up all the nutrients in the compost, so it can release it out into your soil over lots of years. So I've just got some shredded newspaper and cardboard here, toilet roll. That's about all the carbon I've got here. I'm sure there's others, but yeah, you can even use a bit of soil. So in here I've got greens, obviously, which is nitrogen, and I've just been around and trimmed some of the long areas around the allotment with my mower, and just around the edge of my plot to keep it neat. And there's quite a few clippings there, which it's a really good source for your compost bin because it's all shredded up finely and they get really hot really quick. And any feathers, they're good, they're full of nitrogen, about 14%. And we've got weeds, and this is all couch grass roots, a little bit of clover there, and a few old calendula, but mostly that's all bindweed roots that I've dug out from around by my shed, just over there. So they'll be going in. I've got kitchen scraps, and these are just a few things from the allotment as well, like the brassica leaves. I think there's some hellebore leaves in there, but some of that's from home, from the garden. Weeds and stuff, like I say. In here, there's more kitchen scraps and brassica leaves and stuff. And I think there's some kitchen rolls and stuff and tissues. I cut the grass in my back garden the other day, and I'll put that in here, and that's on top of kitchen scraps. And yeah, more kitchen scraps with tissue. And with the brassica stems like that broccoli, it's best to chop it up, and eggshells, it's best to crush it up if you can, really. Okay, so that's all the materials I'm going to be using. Oh no, hang on, I've got to talk about activators. So urine is a very good activator. I haven't got no manures here other than the little guinea pig manure that's in there. But you could add like seaweed to it. Like if you've got seaweed from the ocean nearby, that's obviously, you know, free and awesome. I've got some blood, fish and bone in here and seaweed. So I'll be sprinkling a bit of that in because I haven't got no manures, like I say. But that'll just help kickstart it as well. People say about putting meat and dairy and stuff in. You can do, really, but it'd probably be best to rodent proof the Dalek or the compost by putting some metal wire underneath. But what I did the other day is I made a bit of bone char. So that's just a similar process to making biochar, but I stole some of my dog's old bones and had some lamb chops the other night. Some of these bits aren't fully broken down, so I won't be sticking these bigger bits in. But there's a lot of powder at the bottom there, so I'll be sticking all that in basically, and that's a real good source of phosphorus. Yeah, so I'll show you now how I'm going to layer up the compost bin. Okay, so first of all, this Dalek here, what I've got is a Blackwall Dalek, and it's a 220 litre Dalek, so it's not even the biggest one. But even something this size can get up to thermophilic temperatures if you fill it all in one go and give it the right ingredients, the right moisture and the right air content. And yeah, within a few days, 3 or 4 days, it can be as high as 134 degrees Fahrenheit. The only trouble is with composting in the Daleks are, after about 4 days of filling it, if you're going to be doing a hot compost that is, that the materials will shrink to roughly about half to 3/4 of the size it was before. So there's a lot of space in there. So what I plan on doing this time is I'll be adding more and more materials to the Dalek as and when I get them. So I'll probably be turning this one in a couple of days, and after it's got hot, and after the 4th day, hopefully it will shrunk down enough that I can cram some more materials in to keep that process going, keep the thermophiles going, thermophilic bacteria that is, to keep the heat in, keep the composting process going. And I'm hoping to get compost in about 30 days from this, and almost a full Dalek's full as well, worth as well, sorry. So we'll just get down and show you how I'm going to fill it. So there's 2 ways to compost really. There's the cold or the hot way. And if I was going to be cold composting, which is not turning it, it's just leaving it to sit for at least 1 year to 2 years to mature, then you want to be adding a few twiggy bits to it to keep the air in, so that the weight of the pile doesn't squeeze out all the air and it goes anaerobic. So to start off with, you'd probably want to be adding twigs or wood chips or a bit of sawdust, something like that at the bottom, just to suck up all the moisture from the nitrogen material, well, from the compost as it's breaking down, and just so it can keep a bit of air in it really. because I want my compost quite quick, these bits are too chunky really, so I won't be adding none of this today, or any wood chips which are off the paths or anything. I won't be adding that because I want my compost quite quick. And I'm also not adding any leaves either because I want this for my leaf mould. So for hot composting then, we are going to be using a base of straw. Okay, so to start off with, I want to be popping a fairly decent layer of this straw at the bottom with sawdust in, and this is a very high carbon ratio. And basically, the best ratio is about 25 to 1, 30 to 1, somewhere in that ballpark. But it's very difficult to work out unless you're going to weigh everything and you know all the figures, all the the ratios for everything. But as a rule of thumb, you add about 50% leaves, 50% straw or whatever carbon material you're adding, and you're layering it up basically. So, whoops. Yeah, I just want to put a nice little layer of that at the bottom. Help keep some air in it. So the next thing, I'll be adding all of this kitchen waste, and you want to be adding the kitchen waste in the middle or at the bottom, so that any rodents or anything don't get to it or can smell it. So I just add a little bit of paper in there. We'll add a little bit of the seaweed, blood, fish and bone mix. So you just basically want to get as much diverse materials. You don't have to use every single one of these materials, what I'm using here, but you want to be using as much as you can. So this is a bit of urine. So any dry layers, you want to give them a real good soaking down as you're adding them. That'll do for that. I'm going to add some weeds next, and they say you shouldn't really compost bindweed or anything, or couch grass. I'll stick it in, just a bit of that at a time. Right, we'll have some grass clippings next. Yeah, give that a half decent layer in there. Right. So as an activator, a bit of compost what was previously in here as well. That's just got all the microorganisms in, the bacteria, maybe fungi to help break it down, kickstart it. You don't really need to buy a product like Garotta or anything. I mean, urine and manures are just as good really. All right, I'm going to give that a little bit of a mix together. And if you mix it together, it does help the decomposition a bit better than if you just leave in, a layer of grass, a layer of straw. Sometimes the grass can go anaerobic if it compacts down a bit. And anaerobic just means without oxygen. So we're just going to add all of this in, and that's all got some nice juice in there. Try and let all that drain in. And that's the kitchen waste, what I've been saving up for quite a while. Because if you want to get your compost bin really, really hot straight away, you need to fill it all in one go. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a mix. We'll go for the rest of this cardboard and paper next. little bit of bone char. Bit more bloodfish and bone and seaweed. Some more old compost. Say old, it's fresh. Okay, that's more grass. There's a few leaves in this as well, which are mowed up from around the edge. Is that all? Okay. Add a bit more greens. Right, a load more straw and sawdust. That'll do. Just give this all a real good mix around. Right. Add some more weeds to it. Weeds are quite high nitrogen. There's a bit of soil in here from around the roots of the couch grass. Bit of creeping buttercup. Not too much in one go. Yeah, so you want to add enough moisture to it. The bacteria need the moisture. Put a whole watering can in that. Okay, we'll put some more green waste in. Put a bit more seaweed and fish and bone in. A bit more bone char. A bit more compost as an activator. A bit more urine. So you can add like leachate, worm leachate, manure runoff, stuff like that. Get all that in there. So just give that another little mix around again. Get a bit there back in it. Put some more weeds in. And you basically want to keep layering it up until you've got right to the top. And the best thing to do is to save all your brown materials until you've got enough nitrogen materials really. Okay, so I'm going to put some more straw in, some sawdust. And that's got some guinea pig poo in it, like I say, which has got a bit of nitrogen in. Save a bit for the end. We can put some newspaper in, but it's best to rip it up. I don't want it in big clumps like this. Okay, I want some more urine on that then, soak into that sawdust. Yeah, get it all in. Whew. one thing I haven't added yet, actually, what I wanted to was wood ash. Get a bit of that in there. Right, get some more grass clippings. So we're not far away from having it filled now. Let's give that another little turn. Well, mixed in. So you can set it and leave a compost pile. You don't have to turn it if you're not able to, but you will get compost a lot quicker if you do turn it. But yeah, that's all quite nicely mixed in. We'll get some more weeds on there, I think. A bit more newspaper. I mean, it's best to shred this up really, if you can. Okay, so going to add some more straw and wood chip and guinea pig poo. We've got quite a bit of this in, I think. That'll do. So we're going to wet that down a bit. So like I say, you need to reload this in a few days' time after this, because this will shrink down and it will lose its temperature. So you need to keep topping it up to keep it active. Right, I think I've used all the kitchen scraps. Put these grass clippings on, used all the weeds. Oh, actually, hang on, there's a bit of soil activator still, compost activator. Put all that in there. And we're going to put the grass in now, the rest of the grass. So we're almost getting there, we're almost done. Get that in there. And we're going to pop in this. Big bit of newspaper there. You don't want to stick all that in one go. That'll take forever. And you always want to top it off with carbon, because that'll stop any off-gassing from any nitrogen what's in there, if it's too strong a nitrogen mix. So it doesn't matter too much at this point if it's a perfect mix or not, because when you come to turn it, you'll be able to add carbon if it's a bit wet, or if it's a bit dry, you'll be able to add a bit of nitrogen and some water to get the moisture levels right. But yeah, like I say, you can even top that off with biochar as well if you wanted to. Pop that there. So yeah, I mean, if you were going to leave it as a cold compost pile, that'd be fine. I'm just going to wet it down in a minute though. But when you do turn it, you can see what the sort of moisture level is by giving it a squeeze test and see if any drips of moisture come out. 2 drips is perfect. If nothing comes out, add some more water. If the temperature isn't there, you want to be adding some more nitrogen. But yeah, hopefully it'll come back in a couple of days' time, and we'll turn this, and yeah, we'll see what it's looking like, and perhaps add a bit more grass clippings or some more straw or newspaper, something like that, and yeah, it should be rocking really. I'm just gonna... Okay, so we're going to give it another final watering. So it's not quite 100% full really. I was hoping to cram as much more in there than that if I could. The last thing to do now is to stick a little thermometer in there, and we're going to measure the temperature over the next 18 days or so, and I'm going to turn it when it starts to drop, or turn it every couple of days really. If you want quick compost within like a month or so, yeah, if you turn it every couple of days, you'll be having compost by the end of the month. But we'll see with this one. I've never really used straw before. It's a new material for me because I've just got a customer who's got guinea pigs, and they're giving me all their bedding and everything, which is going to be a fantastic source of carbon for me for the rest of the year. So yeah, hopefully in the next couple of days this will start to rise up. I'll bring you back, and we'll go from there. We'll turn it, see how it's breaking down, give it a moisture test. So yeah, please subscribe, and you can follow me along doing this compost bin, see how it turns out. But I'm hoping this is going to be ready by the end of this month. I'm going to try and get it as full as I can before I go on holiday, get it turned before I go on holiday, leave it sat for 7 days, and then hopefully by the time I come back from holiday, it should be about ready. Yeah, so please consider subscribing and giving a thumbs up if you've got anything out of the video. If I've missed anything in the video, which I'm always missing stuff, mostly the most important stuff of the video, I always miss some off. So please leave in the comments what I've missed off, or if there's anything else you'd add, or something you'd do different to me. That'd be much appreciated. Love reading all the comments, and that's where I get a lot of tips from. And yeah, basically love reading them. So I'm just going to tidy up here, and that's it. So I'll see you in a couple of days when I come to turn it. Goodbye.